The orbital station Kepler-7 hummed with the rhythmic pulse of its fusion reactors, a mechanical heartbeat suspended 400 kilometers above the ice-sheathed planet of Cryos Prime. Anna Volkov stood before the panoramic viewport in the Hunter's briefing room, her augmented eyes scanning the planetary surface below. Thermal overlays painted the frozen wasteland in shades of amber and crimson, revealing the heat signatures of the apex predator that made Cryos Prime the most dangerous hunting ground in the outer colonies. "Your trainee has arrived," said Commander Reeves, his voice cutting through Anna's concentration. Anna didn't turn. "I didn't request a trainee. Central Command insists. Crew shortages across the sector. You're taking him on the Frost Worm contract." She finally glanced over her shoulder, her expression carved from the same ice that covered the planet below. "The worm has killed 11 licensed hunters in the past standard year. This isn't babysitting duty. He comes highly recommended, top marks in the Academy simulations." "Simulations," Anna repeated, the word dripping with disdain. She'd seen a dozen Academy graduates freeze, literally and figuratively, on their first real hunt. Cryos Prime didn't forgive hesitation. The door hissed open, and David Chen entered with the careful posture of someone trying not to appear nervous. He was younger than Anna expected, perhaps 23 standard years, with the lean build of someone who'd grown up in low gravity. His hunter's suit was pristine, unmarked by plasma burns or claw marks, practically glowing with its factory-fresh nanopolymer coating. "Apex Hunter Volkov," he said, extending his hand. "I'm honored to—" "How many confirmed kills?" Anna interrupted, ignoring the outstretched hand. David's arm dropped. "In the field, none, but my simulation scores. Don't exist out there." She gestured toward the viewport. "The Frost Worm is a Class 7 predator with reactive camouflage, sub-zero breath capable of flash-freezing combat armor, and neurological tissue sophisticated enough to problem-solve better than most humans. It's been hunting on this planet for an estimated 400 years. You've been hunting for 0. "Then I'll learn from the best," David said, and Anna detected something in his voice, not defiance exactly, but a quiet certainty that irritated her more than arrogance would have. "Gear check in 30 minutes. Don't be late." Anna turned back to the viewport, dismissing him. The descent pod screamed through Cryos Prime's atmosphere, ablative shielding vaporizing in brilliant streamers of superheated plasma. Anna monitored the telemetry with practiced efficiency while David sat across from her, his knuckles white against the crash webbing. "First atmospheric entry?" she asked. "Third," he replied, "first in a combat descent pod. The difference being these pods are designed to survive getting shot at. Civilian transports aren't." She pulled up a holographic display between them. "Frost Worm last confirmed position. Sector 7 Tango, the Crystalline Canyons. Ambient temperature -180 Celsius. Atmosphere is 78% nitrogen, 20% oxygen, 2% trace gases. Breathable, but you'll freeze solid in 90 seconds without suit heating." David studied the topographical data. "The canyon walls are quartz composite. They'll create radar reflections and thermal echoes. How do we distinguish the worm's signature?" Anna's eyes narrowed slightly. That was actually a competent question. "We don't rely on sensors alone. The worm is an ambush predator. We use ourselves as bait." "Bait? Controlled bait. I'll take point. You maintain a 30-meter trailing distance and keep your weapon safety engaged until I give the signal." "With respect, Hunter Volkov, that tactical formation leaves you exposed with no covering fire. I've survived 14 worm encounters. You've survived 0. We use my formation." The pod slammed into the surface, retro thrusters firing in a final deceleration burn that would have liquefied an unaugmented human's organs. The harness released with a metallic snap, and Anna was moving before David had fully oriented himself. The landscape was alien and beautiful, Towering crystalline formations caught the weak sunlight of Cryos Prime's distant star, refracting it into cascades of frozen rainbows. The ice beneath their boots was harder than steel, formed under pressures that would crush starship hulls. Anna's HUD flickered to life, overlaying threat assessments and environmental data across her vision. She activated the tactical channel. Comms check. Receiving, David confirmed. Hunter Volkov, the geological formation ahead, that overhang would provide perfect cover for an ambush. I'm aware. Anna approached the overhang deliberately, plasma rifle charged but lowered in a non-threatening posture. Veteran hunters knew that appearing too aggressive could trigger a premature attack. The worm was intelligent enough to recognize the difference between prey and threat. A sound reached them, a deep resonance that seemed to come from the ice itself, vibrating through their suit's sensory arrays. Anna froze. Contact, David whispered over the comm. Vocalization. The worm is establishing territorial boundaries. Anna's augmented hearing isolated the frequency, analyzing the harmonic patterns. It knows we're here. What happened next occurred in the space between heartbeats. The ice beneath Anna erupted upward as the frost worm burst from its subterranean hunting tunnel. It was magnificent and terrifying. 12 meters of evolved killing efficiency, its crystalline scales refracting light into camouflage patterns, its triple-rowed jaws lined with teeth designed to shear through reinforced armor. The temperature plummeted as its breath weapon activated, a cone of molecular stasis frost that could reduce matter to its constituent atoms. Anna's combat augmentations kicked in, time dilating as adrenaline and neurotechnology synchronized. She dove left, plasma rifle coming up, but the worm was faster than her previous encounters had suggested. This one had adapted. It twisted mid-strike, and Anna realized with cold clarity that she'd miscalculated her evasion vector. The plasma bolt came from her 6 o'clock, precise, controlled, and perfectly placed. It struck the worm's exposed throat ventricle, the only vulnerable point visible during its breath weapon charge cycle. The creature's vocalization turned into a shriek as superheated plasma disrupted its specialized respiratory system. Anna rolled to cover, completing her evasion, and looked back to see David in a textbook firing stance, his weapon's barrel still glowing. His second and third shots were already away, targeting the worm's sensory organs with surgical precision. Suppressing fire, Anna barked, impressed despite herself. She lined up her own shot, targeting the creature's primary neural cluster, a spot the size of a human fist located behind its third cervical plate. The worm was already retreating, wounded but far from defeated, its reactive intelligence recognizing that this encounter had turned against it. Anna's finger tightened on the trigger, but she hesitated. Something was wrong with David's positioning. He'd advanced to provide cover, but he was standing directly on. Trainee fall back, secondary tunnel. The ice fractured beneath David's feet as a second worm, smaller, younger, but equally lethal, erupted from below. Anna's HUD screamed threat warnings as the juvenile's tail blade arced toward David's midsection, moving too fast for him to evade. But David wasn't evading. He was falling backward while simultaneously firing his rifle's secondary weapon, a magnetic harpoon designed for anchoring in ice. The harpoon embedded in the juvenile worm's chest cavity even as David hit the ground, using the creature's own momentum and the harpoon's retraction system to alter its trajectory. The tail blade missed by centimeters. Anna's rifle thundered, her shot intersecting with David's continued plasma fire. The juvenile worm collapsed, its neural systems catastrophically disrupted. Silence returned to the crystalline canyons, broken only by the cooling ticks of overheated weapons and the distant howl of Cryos Prime's eternal winds. Anna approached David, who was getting to his feet with the careful movements of someone checking for injuries. "Tactical assessment?" she asked. "Mated pair," David replied, his voice steady despite the adrenaline dump he had to be experiencing. The large one was the female. They're typically more aggressive. She was protecting her mate and territory. The smaller signature I detected 17 minutes ago wasn't a thermal echo. It was the male in a parallel tunnel system. You detected him and didn't report it. I wasn't certain. The signal was at the edge of my sensor's resolution. But when you committed to engaging the female, I calculated a 73% probability that a coordinated attack was imminent. He met her eyes. I kept the safety engaged as instructed until you needed covering fire. Anna studied him for a long moment. The Academy simulations were better than she'd given them credit for, or David Chen was more than his pristine armor suggested. You disobeyed a direct order, she said. Yes, Hunter Volkov. You advanced into an unsecured attack vector. Yes, Hunter Volkov. You engaged a Class 7 predator with adaptive intelligence, using an improvised takedown technique, not covered in standard protocol. Yes, Hunter Volkov. Anna's expression remained unreadable. Then she extended her hand, the gesture David had offered and she'd rejected hours earlier on the station. Welcome to Apex Hunters, Chen. You're no longer a trainee. David grasped her hand, and for the first time, Anna saw him smile. Does this mean I get to pick the formation on the next hunt? Don't push it. As they secured the worm's remains for retrieval, the biological samples alone would fund a dozen more expeditions. Anna pulled up the mission logs. Central Command would want a full report. She began dictating, her words precise and professional. Mission successful. 2 frost worms neutralized. Trainee Chen performed adequately. She paused, then deleted the last word and replaced it. Trainee Chen demonstrated exceptional tactical awareness and combat proficiency. Recommend immediate advancement to full hunter status. Beside her, David was scanning for additional thermal signatures, already thinking like a veteran. Anna allowed herself the smallest of smiles. Perhaps Central Command knew what they were doing after all. The twin suns of Cryos Prime's distant binary star began their slow descent toward the horizon, painting the crystalline canyons in shades of violet and gold. Above them, Kepler 7 continued its eternal orbit, waiting to receive 2 hunters who had both proven something that day. In the end, titles meant nothing. Only survival and skill mattered in the frozen wastes of Cryos Prime. And David Chen had both.